Yeah,
I hope
the live
you
stream.
enjoyed it. I
The
hope
live
the
stream was
people
a lot
that
of
watched
fun.
it enjoyed it. I hope the people that were there with us enjoyed it because we made you, well, as the people on the internet put out, we made you a little scratch. We made you a little, yeah, my son's like this. We made, you know, a little scarole, my Italian friends would say. Made a little extra scarole. Probably not pronouncing it right. We, going into the fight, Plant was like a prohibitive favorite. It was like minus 2,600,
He
2,500.
was minus 2,500 favorite.
After a few rounds, I said, hey, I forget what round. My son would line it up after I get finished here and clean it up. But at a certain point, it started changing. I said, jump on the dog. Jump on the live wagering. Jump on Resendiz. One thing I say, I make mistakes with the handicapping, but one place that I don't make too many is when I'm watching a fight live. Or if I've had the benefit of watching a fight, tape of a fighter prior to handicapping the fight. Then I'm pretty good. But live, I have to say myself a little bit that live wagering, we can make a little scratch. I don't want no one going crazy. There's no guarantees. There's no guarantees out there. I don't want you going and betting your freaking your kids' lunch money. You don't do stupid stuff like that. But if you have a little something extra that ain't gonna hurt you, and you're watching a fight with me and my son, and I say, hey, get on this guy. Get on him a little bit. And we said that during the fight. Get on Resendiz. Get on him now. I'm jumping on him. If I'm doing any live betting, folks, I'm going to tell you right now, you don't want to wait any longer. Get in on Resendiz. Get on him. Get on him now. I'm not guaranteeing nothing. It's called gambling. There's no guarantee, but I'm the good right hand by Resendiz. Get on it. You're getting plus 140. My son is being the man now, feeding me all the information. Teddy Atlas is telling you, get on him. Get on Resendiz right now. Get on him. And then, like, by the time the next round went, I said, say goodbye to that boat. It's sailing away with your money. If you didn't get on, wave from the harbor. Wave from the dock. Bye-bye money. Bye-bye extra. Bye-bye extra money. Because that was the time to get on it. But
Absolutely.
We're going to do more. I hope you enjoyed it. We enjoyed it. Take it away, bud. I just wanted to...
Yeah, and to piggyback off of that, the live stream, as always, it's still up. So some of you guys, if you didn't get a chance, want to listen to Teddy's commentary, go on to the YouTube channel, take a look, and you'll see exactly what we're talking about there in the Resendiz fight. I think it was around round 4. And also, besides the in-fight live betting, follow Teddy on his social media. There might be a little nugget coming your guys' way for a big upset, maybe on this Saturday. So we don't want to give it away who it is and who Teddy likes, but if you want it, follow his social media. It's going to be up there this week.
See, my son's becoming that real TV guy. It's called a tease in the business. He's getting really good at this stuff, like he was at the scouting stuff, in the NFL. We're gonna show you a little something before the fight starts.
Before the fight, yep.
And you're gonna have a chance, I think, to have an early Christmas. That's all right. Well, we'll see.
Yeah, let's get into it. Caleb Plant fought Jose Armando Reséndiz. Plant, WBA interim super middleweight champion heading into this fight, and as you said, minus 2,500 favorite. Resendiz pulls off the monster upset. As you were saying, bud, the early rounds, Plant was winning the fight. He was boxing, he was moving, and Resendiz wasn't letting his hands go enough. And then you called it. It was right hand, I think around the 4th round. Even in a round that maybe Resendiz didn't have a huge round, but the tide turned. You could see the confidence, his demeanor, and the fight changed. And for me, from that point on, it might have been a whitewash. He might have taken from the 5th or at least a halfway point all the way through and swept all rounds, in my opinion.
Except for one drunken judge. Now look, he wasn't. Now, before it gets all over the internet, I don't know that the judge was drinking. I'm just saying. I don't know.
Well, that would be a good excuse. Then it would make sense.
I'm just trying to understand what the explanation could be.
There's no understanding it. And we will get into that more from David Sutherland, was the judge with the horrible scorecard that was turned in and made this unanimous decision that it should have been into a split decision victory.
We're going to put a picture of him up. We're going to put his name up. And we're going to start calling these guys. We're going to start making people be accountable. That's the one thing in this country. We need more accountability. We do, for everything. You do something wrong, be accountable. Be accountable, that's all. You get another chance to correct it, but you got to be accountable. And especially when you're in this business where you're hurting people's lives. Because when you get it wrong, you put a fighter who already went through hundreds, thousands of punches to get to that point. You put him back in the line to take hundreds and thousands of punches again sometimes to get back to that position. You're hurting that person. You're hurting their family. You're doing damage. You have to be held accountable. Somebody's got to be in a position to say, hey, no more of that damage. Somebody's got to police it. Somebody has to be on a tower somewhere, not an ivy tower. God forbid. I would never be in an ivy tower. Me? No. I would fall off it. But somebody has to, and I did it for years at ESPN, I'm doing it here, that has to say, hey, that ain't right. You're hurting somebody. You're hurting someone's family by hurting them. You're hurting a person that goes into the hurt business, that takes a risk of getting hurt, of leaving the ring with less of themselves than they entered the ring with. You're hurting that person. You shouldn't be hurting that person. The only one should hurt him is his opponent who's trying to hurt him, but nobody else. No, we're gonna stop it. We're gonna do what they do on the packs of cigarettes. Yeah.
Warning.
When they put a warning up, Surgeon General's warning. This can be dangerous to your health. This judge can be dangerous to a fighter's health. That's it. Take it away, bud.
Yeah, with that being said, we have eyeballs. You're turning the fans off. You're ruining the sport. You're hurting the sport, as you're saying. Max DeLuca and Steve Weisfeld gave 7 of the last rounds to Resendiz. All 7, and Weisfeld gave the last 8 rounds. What does David Sutherland do? He gives the last 3 rounds to Caleb Plant and 4 of the last 6 to Caleb Plant. Mind-boggling.
Don't smoke Sutherland's. Don't smoke Sutherland. Rich, if you smoke, I know you won't smoke. You're an MMA fighter, but if you do not smoke.
And the reason why we have to talk about this, besides that it happened, it's not the first time, and it won't be the last time, I'm sure. He did this. We were at the fight live in L.A., the undercard of Terrence Crawford's last fight versus Madrimov in L.A., and it was the Jarrell Miller-Ruiz fight.
Oh!
Clearly, Jarrell Miller won the fight.
He sure did.
He scored it a draw.
Miller won that fight every which way to Sunday, twice on Sunday. And he earned it. He came back from hell. I mean, you got to give him credit. Yeah, I know it was his fault that he tested positive. Everyone makes mistakes. He made mistakes. He paid for it. He lost a lot of money. Yeah, he paid, and he deserved to. I'm not, defending him in that way. Where I'm defending him, where I'm standing up for him, is that he paid his price. He gave his pound of flesh. He lost all that money. He got suspended. He did stupid stuff. He hurt himself. But he came back. And he came back in that big fight with the former world champion. And he won that fight. He won that fight big. And he got freaking robbed.
He got Sutherland.
He got robbed. He got Sutherland. That's a new one. Get bumper stickers. Don't get Sutherland. Don't get Sutherland. I got Sutherland.
It's
something
like
goes wrong.
You're the movie guy, the great movie Kingpin. You've been Munsoned. You've been Sutherland.
You've been Sutherland. You've been mushed.
I said I'd sooner get Munsoned out here in the middle of nowhere.
Munson?
What the hell is that? You know, Munson. To be up a creek without a paddle, to have the whole world in the palm of your hand and then blow it. You know, it's a figure of speech. What?
Getting back to the fight, and I don't want to discredit or take anything away from the great performance of the 26-year-old Resendiz, but it did look to me from that midway point on that the wars of the past were starting to show on Caleb Plant. Don't forget the brutal knockout loss to Canelo Alvarez, the brutal fight versus David Benavidez, and even in his last fight, which he won, it was a tough fight versus a physical, big, strong Trevor McCumbee where he dropped Plant in the 4th round of that fight. I thought that started to show.
No, it did. You brought it up during the live stream.
Yeah, the legs, too.
And what do I always say? A fighter's age, for me, is not judged chronologically. It's judged by the amount of punches they've taken in their career, the amount of tough fights they've been in. Everybody deals with it differently. Everyone's genetically different. And everyone's style is different. Floyd Mayweather didn't get hit that much. He could fight to 103. God bless him. But certain guys can't because they're taking more punishment. You know, and again, genetics play into it. But you don't judge. I don't judge a fighter's age chronologically. It's by how much punishment have they taken. To your point, and you said it during the live stream. And recently, especially, he has taken, in the last year, 2 years, he's taken quite a bit of punishment. His last fight with Benavidez, he took a lot of punishment. Before that, he took punishment with Canelo. Before that, he also, as you said, what was the other fight?
Trevor McCumbee. Even in victory, he was knocked down in the 4th round of that fight. And yeah, I thought, to your point, what you just said, at 32 years of age, the legs looked gone to me. They weren't there. It wasn't the same movement. It wasn't the same guy. And in credit and in part, obviously, to Resendiz. But I just want to get your overall thoughts.
And I give credit to Plant. He showed the championship character, heart, resiliency, desire, will, not to give up his belt, interim title, but still, not to give up that belt. He showed all of that. He didn't want to lose that belt. But Resendiz, to his credit, showed he wanted to get that belt.
Absolutely. And maybe it's also stylistically, right? 3 losses now for Caleb Plant. All 3 losses versus Mexican fighters who come forward and pressure. Canelo, Benavidez, and now Resendiz. Do you feel like that was part of it in play? And just want to hear your thoughts overall. What you thought of the fight?
It all comes down to geography. Who wins the battle of geography where they are able to control the part of the ring, the location of the ring? You know, you got to go see a real estate broker sometimes. It's all about location, location, location. Who controls the part of the ring that serves their skill sets the best? This fight was easy to understand that, to set up, as I did before the fight, you know, a scenario of what could happen and what should happen for both guys if they were going to be successful or if they weren't going to be successful. Plant needed to control the outside, and he did the first couple rounds. I think it started changing a little in the 3rd, not the 4th, but you're right, it was more significant in the 4th. But the first couple rounds, and later in the fight too, when Plant was able to control the outside, you know, use his legs to your point, you know, if your legs are getting older and you got to control the outside, it's a little harder. You're handicapped. You're at a disadvantage. You need legs if that's your style. Now, if that's not your style, George Foreman, that wasn't his style. 45 years old. He won the heavyweight title against my guy. Yeah, I don't hide from it. And, man, George was special. But, you know, at 45, he wasn't the kind of fighter that used his legs. He wasn't Muhammad Ali. I wish he was that night. But he wasn't. Plant is the kind of guy that does, especially against an aggressive, as you said, Mexican fighter who's putting pressure on, who wants to get inside, get into the kitchen. he needs the legs to fight at his best, to be what he needs to be. On the outside, putting punches together, counter-punching, making Resendiz go through a bad neighborhood and trying to mug him. That's the recipe. That's the recipe, for success, for keeping your title, if you're playing. And when your legs are getting old, now you have to fight more inside than you want to. And that favors the 26-year-old in this case. Youth was served in this fight. It was. And I'm taking nothing away from Resendiz, but being younger, also he did what he had to do. The first 2 rounds I was going nuts. I was saying, he won't leave the driveway. I was making the analogy like a car. He's got to get on the road. You got to start moving forward. You got to start closing the gap. You're sitting idling in the freaking driveway. You're going to run out of gas. You're not getting anywhere. You're not going nowhere. You have to move. And he started in the 3rd round, finally, moving forward. And you know what the real key to this fight was? Not only that he moved forward, but when he started jabbing. For Plant, that changed the fight. For Plant to win this fight, he had to control the geography on the outside, as I already put forward. He had to be able to get his punches off at the right range, keep Resendiz outside. He had to use his jab to set the table. If there's no jab coming at him, only a little pressure, but no jab coming at him from Resendiz, there's no bugs on the windshield. He's got clear vision. He can pot shot. He can navigate his way through. He can see what's coming, get off, make a little move, change range a little bit. It's much easier to do. It's a lot easier to drive when there ain't mud on the windshield. But the jab represents mud or bugs on the windshield. Once Resendiz started pressing with the jab, using the jab, wow, big difference. Because he took away one of the most important weapons that Plant had, that he needed. The domination of the jab, the controlling of range. How do you control range? 2 ways, with your legs and with the jab. We already said the legs were deteriorating. You picked up right away. Now the jab is not dominant anymore. Now the jab is not in play anymore. Now the jab is not controlling Resendiz anymore. You got a big problem.
You're not a big power puncher to begin with. To your point, How do you keep a guy off of you?
Yeah, you got a problem now. It's kind of like Houston, we got a problem. Hello, Houston, we have a problem, Houston. Engines are not firing on Rocket 6. We have a problem. So as soon as Resendiz started jabbing, it started negating the jab that was looking to dominate the fight. Plant wanted that punch to dominate the fight, to set the table for everything else. So once that jab started coming from Resendiz, he no longer, again, it nullified the jab. There's 2 ways to take away the jab of somebody who's trying to win the fight with their jab. One is to counter with right hands over their jab. You start hitting them with right hands, they ain't going to jab at you no more. Believe me, they're going to think twice. But he couldn't do that early on because, to Plant's credit, he was jabbing from a distance where you couldn't get close enough to counter that right hand. So the other way to take away the jab is use your jab. Use your jab. You don't have to be tall or longer. Mike Tyson, when he was at his best, out-jabbed taller guys. Because the timing of it was straight, it was accurate. He moved his head, he slipped your jab, bang, bang. He got in with his jab. It didn't matter that he was only 5'9.5" or 5'10", and you was 6'5", or 6'4", 6'3", or whatever. Everybody was taller than him. And he at his best, he still out-jabbed most guys. Again, once Resendiz started jabbing and didn't allow Plant to control everything off that jab, he started to close the gap. He started to do damage. He got inside. He took over. And then one other thing. There was some rounds when he got in, he didn't keep his hands free. He allowed himself to get tied up. Plant, it made sense for Plant to tie him up because he don't want to be fighting with him on the inside. He wants to control the outside. Not that he can't, but he's got a bigger edge on the outside. Resendiz has a bigger edge on the inside. Resendiz can't win on the outside. He's got to be inside. But when you're inside, what the freak is the sense of being inside if you don't keep your hands free and punch? In other words, if you allow the guy to tie you up. It takes two to tango. I don't want to hear these idiots that say, oh, he got tied up because he allowed himself to get tied up. He cooperated. And early on, he was cooperating. It does take two to tango. So early on, he was putting his hands where Plant could grab him. He was smothering himself. He was doing all the things to allow Plant to tie him up and keep him from doing what he had to do. Work on the inside. Go to the body. Go to the head. Throw short punches. Break down Plant. Break him down. And then finally he started doing that. He didn't put his hands where he could be grabbed. He rotated his shoulders. He kept his hands in front. And then the most important thing he did, and you can see it on the video, and my son will make sure, Richie, Bennett, that's his job. Bennett in the editing studio will make sure that he puts tape to this so you see it. The most important part of it for me, and nobody else mentioned this, was when Resendiz started moving his feet. When he got inside, and instead of letting Plant tie him up, which he was trying to tie him up, he started moving his feet back a little bit and continued punching, giving himself room to punch, giving himself room to continue the offensive flow. He didn't, because when you smother yourself, it's kind of like a faucet with the water run. You want the water to run, you let it run. You turn the faucet, it stops. When you allow a guy to get too close, the faucet stops, the water stops. He kept the water running by taking those little steps back, pop, 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 and just landing nice right hands, short right hands on top, little short shots inside. He started to break Plant down. And he took over, as you said, he took over the fight. And from that point on, he pretty much dominated the fight. I mean, you know.
Except for Sutherland.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he should have got closer to Sutherland and reached over and hit him a shot. Maybe then he would have realized, oh, yeah, that's real. Those punches are real. It's not a figment of my imagination. He's actually punching. I'm not giving him credit. I'm not seeing it.
He took over fast. That was a great breakdown. There was some great analogies. I mean, the flooding happened quick. And again, go back, watch the live stream just to that point of how quick it happened. When you gave Resendiz at plus 140, the next round he was minus 220. The following round, minus 350. Few rounds after that, too late, minus 1600. So he did not slow down, and he kept it going, and he gets the win. And we will see what's next. There was a rematch clause in the contract. We will see if Caleb Plant chooses to activate that. I would assume he will, as a competitor, as a world champion, trying to get a chance in the rematch to win back his WBA interim super middleweight title.
And in that fight, if it happens, look, I won't count Plant out. He's a former champion. You know, he'll always be a champion. I won't count him out. But I would favor Resendiz because he's going to get better. Like I always say, now everyone uses my saying because, you know, the old timers told me, Teddy Cuss told me, Teddy, when a guy wins a world title, he gets 30% better. And they do. You see it. He'll get better. Plant ain't getting better. You know, or after the amount of punches he took in this fight, on top of the ones he took in the Benavidez fight, on and on and on. We could go on and on. I don't think he's getting better. I mean, his heart always be there, his experience always be there, but he ain't getting better. Resendiz is going to get better.